Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's tour of Accredible. We'll go ahead and get started in about 30 seconds or so. And as folks are joining, please do introduce yourself in the chat. We love to see where everyone is joining us from today. My name is Laura, and I'm joining you all today from chilly Baltimore, Maryland in the US. And I'm so thrilled to welcome all of you joining us from all over the globe. We have a lot to cover in today's lightning session, so we're going to dive right in. If you're here to learn more about the business case for adopting digital credentials and issuing through a dedicated digital credential platform, you are officially in the right place. My teammate Erica is going to outline the 3 elements of a strong internal pitch for adopting digital credentials, highlight what to look for when you're evaluating different platforms, and show us exactly how Accredible approaches each of those aspects, like branding, the learner experience, analytics, and so much more. So whether you're trying to champion the transition from physical to digital credentials internally, or you're already issuing digital badges and certificates, but you're looking to take that credential strategy to the next level, we can promise that you walk out of here with a wealth of resources to gain that buy-in from stakeholders and map out your next steps in the process. Before we begin, a couple of very quick housekeeping notes. We will have some time to address questions that come up today, and we hope that you'll share those using the Q&A feature in Zoom at the bottom of your screen. So submit questions as they come up, and we'll tackle them together before we break at the half hour. All of you wonderful folks here will receive a link to view this session on demand via email, as well as a link to our digital credential platform buyer's toolkit. That includes a more customizable version of the slides that we'll share today. And last but not least, if you're ready to speak with someone on our team about working with Accredible, or if you're already working with us and you're excited to start using a new feature, we'll send out a link to schedule some time with Erica or someone on her team via the chat. As I mentioned, Erica will be your tour guide of Accredible today. And since joining the team, she's helped organizations from universities to professional associations to tech companies, big and small, and training leaders worldwide go from 0 to 60 and far beyond with their digital credential strategy. Behind the scenes, you'll have myself and my colleague Steffi, one of our fabulous implementation managers and product experts, and we'll be managing the chat and prepping the live Q&A at the end of the presentation. So without any further ado, here's Erica. Oh, Erica, you're on mute. Sorry.
That's not a good start. Hi, everyone. As Laura mentioned, I'm Erica Longenbach, and I'm an enterprise account executive here at Accredible. Before we dive into the platform itself, we'll briefly overview 3 important components of the business case for digital credentials and platforms like Accredible. The first step in outlining your business case is to understand what matters most to your organization's leadership. By doing so, you'll be far more likely to gain their buy-in and, if needed, their approval for prioritizing digital credentialing. The challenges we highlighted here are common amongst most of our customers, but they aren't always intuitively linked to digital credentialing. For example, the first challenge listed here is decreasing enrollment and program visibility, or struggling to attract and retain learners due to limited awareness of your program or differing perceptions of the value of your credentials in the workforce. A digital credential platform like Accredible is purposely built to enable and encourage credential sharing, which increases the visibility of your program and your brand, leading you to the ultimate goal of enrollment and revenue growth. Some other challenges that we can address with digital credentials include errors and time wasted on manually issuing and verifying credentials, struggling with identifying skills gaps and motivating employee growth. For our friends in the association space, we can help you address declining membership renewals and low engagement. We can also help you with difficulty measuring program success and credential management. And finally, we can help you have a competitive edge from pressures from other organizations who have already started adopting digital credentials. So, what do we do now that once we've identified your organization's strategic priorities? We'll map out how your digital credential program can align to directly support one or more of those challenges. For example, Here on the left, we articulate how digital credentialing will help us address challenges around tracking learner engagement by highlighting real-time analytics on course completion, credential engagement, and program referrals from your current learners. This provides your team with the insights you need to optimize both for your course content and your marketing strategy. We'll go through each of the future state solutions in our platform tour, and these are also available for you to view more today in detail in your toolkit that you'll receive after the presentation. So, to put a finer point on how Accredible's platform gives you the power to impact those big strategic challenges, we'll dive into the experience and showcase some of those aspects that influence efficiency, learner satisfaction, and program awareness, and of course, growth. All right, so into the demo we go. Go ahead here. So I'm going to start this tour of Accredible first from the recipient's experience. Sorry, 2 seconds. And what it's like to receive a digital credential from your organization and how easy it is to share, while still highlighting some of the differences that really separate Accredible and its ethos from other vendors in the digital credentialing space. So as you can see here, I've just received my digital credential via email from Accredible. The entire page, and this will be a theme throughout, is that Accredible really is one of the only organizations out there that can deliver a completely custom and bespoke white labeling solution for your digital credentials. And what that means is it's your brand that's front and center, not Accredible. We like to think of ourselves as Oz behind the curtain. We're pulling the levers, but you have no idea we're here. So to that end, this marketing email that can tell your learners what is the digital credential they're receiving, why is it important, and how to share it can all be embedded here with your custom fonts, marketing, and any other brand that you choose to put. So with a single click, I am now taken to view my credential. And I wanted to point out this is one of the greatest features that Accredible offers, and that is we do not require your learners to sign up for an Accredible account when accessing their digital credentials. This is important on a lot of fronts. Because Accredible is a GDPR processor, not a controller, we do not at any point collect your learners' data, use that data to cross-sell products, or give them to other third-party organizations. We solely function as a processor that moves the data from you, the issuer, to your recipient, the learner. And to that end, as you could see, this really adds to a seamless experience for your credential recipient, because our goal here is to get this credential out into the peer ecosystems and to share it. And we find that when you have to stop, when you have to sign up for an account, or when you have to be rerouted, it directly negatively impacts how many credentials can be shared on behalf of your brand. Here's a great example. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the anatomy of an Accredible digital credential. So all the way from a customized CNAME that can come from your organization to a white labeling of not only the credential itself, but the entire page. So the page, the link outs, the colors, the font can completely and seamlessly mimic your website. So it looks like that this is just a simple extension of your brand's ecosystem. On the credential, there's a lot of opportunities to share and give context to the achievement that you are giving to your learners. You have the ability to add metadata that articulates what went into this training. You can tie specific skills and knowledges to things that were learned during this training. And you also have the ability to see any sort of earning criteria. So where does this credential sit on a larger learning pathway? What things had to be done previously in order for this learner to access this credential? To that end, we have one of our greatest features is called the pathways, and I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. I'm going to scroll back up here to the second. So we have received our credential, we are looking at it, and my next step as the learner will be to share this credential. And we've made this incredibly easy. So the share credential button is front and center. Your learners have the ability to share to whatever social media platform they choose to, including coming soon an SMS. So these can be shared via text. What this means for you as the issuer is you get a ton of analytics on the back end into where your learners and members are sharing their credentials. This can inform marketing strategies, go-to-market plans, and even can help you realize what credentials are being shared mostly and what learning that you're providing may have the most, sort of robust status to it. So we've got that very easy share button. And anyone also interacting with this credential has the ability to verify it in real time. So you at no extra cost can choose to add this credential to the blockchain or not. But either way, Accredible provides that bank level encryption and security so that anyone interacting with this credential in real time can not only see that this credential is verified itself, but it's also verified by who issued it and who received these credentials. We even can add expiry dates if that suits your organization's needs. It's a very powerful tool if we're working, for example, to try to get more renewals or reduce membership churn. There's a lot of ways that we can proactively not only indicate when a credential is expiring, but also the next steps to get your learners and to get your members galvanized to that next action that you're trying to get them to do. So now that we've had a bit of a short tour of what an Accredible credential can look like, I want to tell you another really differentiating feature that Accredible offers in the industry, and this is called pathways. Now, if you think about a credential as almost a dot or a star in the sky, what Pathways can do is it can take that one learning experience and turn it into a constellation of experiences, where not only what they're learning can be better articulated, but it can also be seen within a sort of larger constellation of context and meaning, thus not only driving your learners to the next step of a program, but also showing anyone viewing this credential that I am this far along on my learning journey of Accredible. Clearly, I have a little ways to go. So one of the really differentiating features of Accredible, we do have some other vendors that offer pathways, but it's a bit limited in scope, where a pathway for other vendors typically are defined as a very dependent stepped sequence where a learner does A and they're taken to B, and when they do B, they're taken to C. Accredible sort of flips that on its head, and we've created our Pathways feature to be incredibly flexible and learner-centric so that any learner can see what needs to be done, and he or she can jump from different places depending on which one they want to go next to and where they want to see. And I'm going to switch over really quickly to another pathway that's used by one of our customers. This is UiPath. And they do a really great job of showing that not only can we have dependent sequences of steps, but you have the ability to offer several different ways to show or learn an achievement to get to that next step. So UI Pathway, for example, has a required step one. They have to do this Automation Explorer training, but in order to progress through their credential experience, they have the ability to almost choose their own ending. So they only have to do one of these two options and one of these three options. And what this does is it not only allows the learners flexibility to sort of move towards their goal in a way that is most relevant to them, but it also provides you a way for you as the issuer to sort of show and highlight some continued learnings that may not be completely needed on the pathway the learner is on, but it really provides a way that you can expose your other learning and your other types of trainings to learners so that they could see the sort of next step if they're interested in something. So back to the credential itself, and pardon me, I'm going to head back to my credential here. So we've talked a little bit about how this credential looks when we receive it, how easy it is to share your credential on social media, and also how visible it is to show where this credential sits on a larger pathway. But we know with the rate that digital credentials are being sort of taken up and being embraced by organizations across higher ed, associations, continuing education and learning, that we're really moving towards this idea of a learner employment record, where learners have the ability to collect badges from different issuers that signifies where they are on that learning journey, whether it's from school to work or beyond. So this becomes the learner's really portable data set that shows a really high resolution view of what they learned, how they've learned it, and what skills were acquired. Accredible has a couple ways to help show this, one of which is the Accredible wallet. So with a single click here, I can view all of my credentials that I've learned from Accredible itself. So I also have the ability to set these to private or public. So I, as the recipient, you have to remember, has full control over my data, over who is seeing what and what is being issued. But here's a way, really, think about this as a digital wallet, and this digital wallet can be shared to someone with the URL, and it's also easy to carry with you in your Apple or Android wallet. So it is completely mobile friendly. So here's one view of the digital credential wallet that's provided by Accredible. I'm going to jump over to another one of our issuers, which is called Snowflake. And pardon me, this is just a quick view of when these credentials show up in LinkedIn feeds, whether in your sort of credential and certifications, or if you choose to put this in your feed, you're really getting a lot of visibility into who sees this. And anyone interacting has the ability to click into that badge and learn more about the certificates, what went into it, what skills and knowledge were acquired, and everything else we've talked about. Excuse me. This is a great point to bring up as well. Accredible's third differentiator in the market is that we are format agnostic when it comes to issuing badges and credentials. So under the umbrella of credentials, you can think about using badges like this one right here, or certificates. So what this does is we can leverage this in a lot of ways to sort of inform whatever your industry is looking for in a credential. We understand that there's different levels of robustness to the credentials. Not all credentials are created equal. So this ability to issue either a badge, a certificate, or both at the same time can really help when we're establishing a digital credential governance model. This is a way to apply a visual taxonomy to your credentials and indicate where that learner is on that larger pathway. So for example, a lot of institutions will use the badge as perhaps a micro-credential or a stepping stone in a larger pathway to learning. And then they would receive a capstone credential, which is a much more formalized certificate at the end of that journey. Equally, you can offer both of these at the same time to an issuer, to a recipient, and they have the ability to perhaps they want to share the badge on their sort of mobile friendly, maybe an email signature, but they want the more formalized credential to sit on their LinkedIn page. They have the ability and that flexibility to share either. And an important thing to note as well, when you are creating your credentials as the issuer, we can really make that easy for you with a lot of very distinguished templates where we can add what we call these attributes, which are data placeholders that can be automatically filled in to fill in, the name, what the course is, maybe an expiration date or a certificate ID. These are available both on certificates and on the badges. So you can get a customized badge from Accredible and the issuer with whatever you choose. So with the remaining 5 minutes or so, I'd like to take a turn to the back end and show you what it's like on the issuer side to understand the power of the analytics and how once these digital credentials get out into an ecosystem, how you can really use it to inform, almost leverage Accredible as a data plan for your organization and the powerful trends that you can see through our analytics. So I'll start here. I am on the credential page itself, and I'm right here on this credentials tab. And this is a very easy way for anyone managing the credentials to be able to sort, view, and target specific either credentials, groups, or actions that you want your recipients to take. So it's very easy for me to look and say, okay, I want to look up all my expired credentials that I've issued, and I want to look at those that had not been shared on LinkedIn or something like this. Basically, you can use all of these toggle downs to really identify specific cohorts within your issuance to give them very targeted messages, whether you're asking them to, maybe you've looked at this credential, but you haven't shared it on LinkedIn. Maybe you need to tell those whose credential is expiring in the next 3 months that they need to go and do some galvanized actions from that. You have this sort of bird's eye view of every credential that has been issued as a way to really easily sort of organize your data. Another thing that Accredible offers, and this takes this a little step further, is the ability to not only automate to whom you're looking to target, but we have a built-in email campaign that allows you to set up these sequences where you can set it and forget it. And I'm going to go ahead and just quickly set up one campaign. Let's say I want to create a campaign that I want to encourage credential engagement. I've just sent out my first credentials and I've noticed 50% of the people have opened them and shared them, but there's also a target audience that hasn't taken this step yet. I can choose what my campaign goal is. Let's demo. I can then identify what audience I want. So do I want this for a specific credential or group, or do I want to specify all credentials? Do I want to add a filter in which the credential published status is unpublished? So I'm targeting those who have not taken this action item yet. I want to set this trigger maybe 2 days after the credential is published in order to remind them. And then I can also select from one of our pre-built templates. You, of course, have the ability to customize these, but we can create a new template for a credential renewal, let's say. So automatically you have this built-in functionality of email campaigns to not only when you issue the credential, but you have an automated way to follow up with everyone to make sure they are doing the things that you would like them to do with this credential, whether it's sharing it, whether it's moving on to the next step of a pathway, or anything that your organization is looking to do with their North Star. For the last piece of the back of the house puzzle, we have a really robust suite of analytics that we can offer. So not only can you get analytics on email campaigns to show, when you left out a campaign, how many emails were sent, how many were opened, how many people clicked, and if there were any bounced emails, we have this ability to do for essential campaigns or custom campaigns as well. So in addition to the email campaign analytics, we also have a full suite of credential engagement. And this is an overview that can be very granularly sorted, yet again, to show you an overview of how many credentials are published, how many have been opened, and how many have been shared. And we even have this great little metric to show where you are against all other credential issuers to see where the average is in the market. So not only can I track this by certain allocated days or specific types of credentials, I can also get even more granular and be able to see of these credentials that have shared and been engaged with, where have they been shared? So have people downloaded a PDF? Have they shared them on Facebook? Have they shared them on LinkedIn? A lot of this is really, really valuable data because you'll be able to see where your learners and where your members are participating on social media feeds. And in that way, you can really use that to target your campaigns and even go as far as leverage your learners. The last piece I'll sort of show is this wonderful thing called influencers. So once you issue that credential and once you start to see where it is going, you also have the ability to identify of your issuers who has the largest social media presence and who is getting the most sort of traffic to view their credential. Some people like me have a very minimal social media footprint and others are, essentially brand influencers. So think about how powerful that could be to make one of your recipients your strongest brand advocate to not only talk about your organization and your courses, and you'll be able to identify these people by our influencer analytics on the back. So this is a very short tour. Hopefully I've given you just enough to be dangerous and learn a little bit more about the features and functionality that really sets Accredible apart from pretty much everyone else out there. We enjoy being the largest credential issuer to date now globally with over 125 million credentials offered. We love what we do, and we're really eager to talk to you about how we can help in the digital transformation of your organization to meet whatever goals you have. Let me go ahead and stop my share there. I'm having a bit of a screen freeze. There we go. Great. So back to this. All right. So now that we have an understanding of how digital credentialing and the Accredible specifically addresses some of the business challenges that we've highlighted earlier. So the final piece for your business case is the presentation. For a presentation is a framework to measure your return on investment, right? This is what stakeholders always want to hear. With a digital credential platform like Accredible, you can not only measure things like credentials issued and shared, but you can also connect those metrics to goals like program referrals, enrollments, and revenue growth. A lot of this can be measured through Accredible analytics, like we just saw, but those metrics will be even more powerful when paired with your business data like learner satisfaction or revenue growth over time. So we'll finally wrap up today with 6 aspects to consider when you're evaluating digital credential programs. We know we're not the only option out there through folks in the space, but we do have a very specific approach to credentialing and connecting those learning achievements to career outcomes. And we would welcome the opportunity to win your business and partner with you. So the first piece that we can offer is ease of use. So ask not just about this intuitiveness of the product, but about integrations with your mission, critical systems like your LMS, your CRM, your testing system, and what can be automated within your current workflow. Brand experience. Can certificates, badges, and emails and landing pages be fully white labeled? For Accredible, that answer is absolutely yes. Engagement and growth. How easily can learners share their credentials online? And what does the platform offer in terms of communication with your learners? And we touched on this today with the no account sign up to access your credential and also that embedded email campaign feature. Learner experience. Can this platform create a visual learning pathway, provide job market insights, and support mobile wallets? I think we've shown how our platform it really differentiates itself with the pathways feature and the learner-centric flexibility that it offers. Security, reliability, and scalability. So is your vendor stable enough that your learners won't be at risk of one day losing access to their credentials? And is that data completely secure? Very important to any CTO I know. Measurable impacts and analytics. So what data can you access on credential issuance, engagement, and shares? And how can these reports on referral, traffic, and growth be customized by each department? Again, I can't speak enough about how Accredible can be a very, very robust data strategy for your organization to get insights into consumer behavior and learner behavior as well. We'll talk a little bit about support. So think about what does the implementation timeline look like and how can you access help when you need it? Accredible, Steffi, and the rest of the customer service team boast a 97% customer retention rating. Everyone who moves through Accredible is really overwhelmed with the amount of support and customized guidance that our CSMs provide. And finally, pricing. Beyond what your subscription costs, how are these fees broken down and how will that pricing model scale with you? So Accredible has a very transparent pricing model. We have one prong, which is a sort of platform fee, which is based on the features and functionalities that you want and can be highly customizable. And the other piece is that per recipient fee, meaning no matter how many times Joe Smith receives a credential from you, you are only charged that one-time recipient fee for him. So we really like to encourage multiple issuances for organizations to really create a huge credential ecosystem for your learners. So these are each outlined in a lot of detail in our digital credential buyer's guide. And Laura will now go ahead and share that with you right now, and we'll move into the Q&A. I hope everyone enjoyed the short presentation. I look forward to questions.
Great. Thank you, Erica. We do have some questions. The first is around Accredible's differentiators. A lot of digital credential providers cite similar capabilities, especially when it comes to issuing a badge or a certificate. So in your position, what makes Accredible unique or a stronger partner specifically for a university?
That's a great question. So I would certainly start with, there tend to be three main differentiators for Accredible. One is that bespoke white labeling feature that a lot of our organizations like the University of Illinois and Syracuse University have used, where they've established an entire micro-credential ecosystem across departments as a way to really put their brand front and center. So not only is the credential white labeled, but everything down to the headers, the footers, the CNAME, the fonts, and the colors. That next piece, again, that's really a differentiator for us is that format agnosticism, right? So the ability to offer both certificates and badges. And the more complex your learning ecosystem is, you'll really want a way to establish that taxonomy that shows not only where the credential sits in this learning pathway, but also where it sits across different learning pathways or departments. And finally, I think I can't sort of say enough about the fact that we do not require your learners to sign a terms of service. We do not collect data, nor are we interested in gatekeeping your learners' data. So Accredible, again, functions as that GDPR processor that puts your seamless experience for both you and your recipients front and center.
Great. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. It's around what do we typically see when someone either onboards to Accredible or starts using some of those engagement features like email campaigns in terms of changes with their share rate and engagement rates?
That's a great question. I feel like Steffi might want to take this. But when you onboard with Accredible, you get not only an implementation manager who walks you step by step through the platform and helps you set it up specifically to what your goals are, but you also have a dedicated account manager whose goal it is to meet with you whenever you'd like, once a month, once a quarter, where once you start issuing and start getting that data, we are able to offer customized suggestions in how we can sort of improve those statistics to reach your internal and North Star goals. Steffi, did I miss anything?
Right, not at all. I think you
Okay.
nailed on
Yeah.
the head there. Wonderful. Well, we are coming just up on time. I want to direct everyone's attention to the chat just one more time to find the link for our digital credential platform buyer's toolkit. That includes a number of the resources that we mentioned today and even some more. It includes the buyer guide, which details what you should be looking for in a digital credential platform. Some of you had also asked about digital credential platforms and how Accredible is different in our approach from some of the other vendors in the space. All of that information is outlined in a number of these different resources, including the buyer's guide. For those of you who are going through a formal procurement process, we have a customizable request for proposal template or RFP template. That can make due diligence a breeze. And brand new today, you all are the first people to find out about it. We have a customizable business case slide template. So for those of you who are really eager to introduce the concept of digital credentials or Accredible to your internal teams, just plug in your specific requirements and then present it to your team of stakeholders to get that project greenlit and prioritized faster and with more success. So with that, thank you all so much for spending some time with us today. Thank you to Steffi and Erica for your time as well. And please keep an eye out for the recording and a link to the toolkit in your inbox this week. Make it a great day, everyone. Thanks again.